All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first of 4 programs. We are doing holiday cooking from my home to yours, and I'm actually in my childhood home. My parents have kindly let me use their house since my home is just not big enough for this. So today we are going to be making gingerbread boys. So this is our family recipe, so it may be different from what you've seen before, but we're going to make them together, and I'll walk you through that. And so you need a bowl, a spoon, and both a dry and wet measuring cup. So we are going to start with 2/3 of a cup of margarine. You can also use Crisco if you choose. We use margarine, and we use a vegan margarine just because I can't have dairy, so this is a way that we've been using it for a while. So we are going to do 2/3 of a cup of margarine. Let's see. We're almost there. You could use butter if you wanted. We just use the margarine because it's already nice and soft, so it makes it really easy to mix and cream with the sugar. So we are going to pop that in our bowl. And then to that, we are going to add 1/2 cup of sugar. So the sugar content isn't super high, but that is because there's molasses in it. And molasses, well, that's a lot of sugar. Okay, so we're going to do 1/2 cup of sugar. And then we are going to add our spices to that so that they can cream together really nicely before we add the molasses. So you are going to add to that 2 teaspoons of ginger. So we are going to use ginger. There we go. You may have noticed that I didn't have you turn the oven on. With this recipe, you do need to have the cookies cool for a little while. So you don't need the oven right away. You can either chill them for 3 hours, or we typically do overnight and then make them the next day. So you are going to do 1 of cinnamon. So again, we use the big one. And 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. There we go. And then once you have all of those in the bowl, you can cream those together. If you ever fall behind, all the ingredients are up on the screen, so it's easy enough to follow along if you've missed anything. And it really won't hurt what order you do them in if you do them in a different order than I'm doing. All right, so we are making, so I made a batch of these on Sunday, and we have just baked them tonight, and we plan on sending them to family who are not in town. So we can't see my brother this Christmas, so we are probably going to send some out west to Calgary for him. So they do travel well. Okay, once you have that all mixed together, you are going to add your molasses. So we typically do the fancy molasses, but whatever molasses you want to do work. And then we are going to add 3/4 of a cup. This gets awfully sticky, so be prepared. You'll need a knife or a spatula to scrape it out of the container. Okay. We're gonna add a little bit more, and then we are good to go. All right, I'm going to pour that in. Okay, and I'm going to get my spatula out. I am a big fan of the molasses candies that you can get at Halloween, and I was very disappointed this year when they were all sold out by the time I went to go look for them. All right. Now you need 1 egg, and you can mix that into your bowl. And then you have all of your wet ingredients done. That is the first step done. Now I will show you what they look like when they're out of the oven, and I also will show you what they look like to roll them out so you know how big and how thick to make them. But the nice thing about this recipe is you can do them any shape you want. So you could do traditional gingerbread boys. Hi Kelly, yes, this will be posted online afterwards. It may take a couple hours for it to upload, but it will be on both our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. So to this, you're gonna add 3 cups of flour. We just use regular all-purpose flour for this one. So no special flour here. Yes, as I was saying, you can use any types of cookie cutters you would like. I have used dinosaur cookie cutters for these. We do gingerbread men, we do reindeer. Mom, is that 1 or 2 cups that I just put in? You put in 2. Okay. I have my mom here helping. Sometimes I forget how many scoops I put in. Okay, there's our third. And then the only other 2 things we are going to add to that are our soda and our powder. So I'm gonna go grab them. All right, so for our soda, we are going to do 1 teaspoon of soda. And we're going to do half a teaspoon of baking powder. There we go. And then you can mix that all together. It should get quite stiff because you want to be able to roll it into a ball, but you will be putting it into some type of bag to put in your fridge or cooling area. We just use a Ziploc bag or a milk bag or whatever we have on hand. We're just going to mix that all together. If it gets too tough to mix with your spoon, you can always use your hands if you want to get messy. There we go. All right, ours is getting pretty thick now, and I'm just going to keep mixing it. So the nice thing about ginger boys is you can kind of decorate them however you choose. We, for the most part, will put white sugar on them, but if we're feeling festive, we will also put the red and green sugar on them. And we also sometimes put raisins as the eyes, but you can substitute that for a different kind of sprinkle. You could, I bet, you could probably put a chocolate chip once they've come out of the oven. I wouldn't put it on when they're in the oven. It would just melt. But yeah, you could decorate them any way you wanted, which is nice. And ours is done in the bowl. So you can see, there we go. Ours is all mixed together. And that is going to go into a bag. And so I will transfer this one into a bag, and then I will turn you over to the side where we have rolled some out. And then I will show you what they look like when they're all done. So you keep mixing that, and we'll finish up here too. Okay, we're gonna put that in the bag. So like I said, you want to have this chill at least 3 hours because you want the dough to nice and congeal together so it's nice and firm and stiff. It will make rolling it out much easier. And if it's still a bit crumbly when you go in the bag, you can just continue to squish it together in the bag, which is what I'm doing because I missed some bottom pieces. All right. Ours is in the bag. I'm just going to squish it together a little bit just to make sure it's all nice. And now it's ready to go in the fridge. So I'm just going to roll you over to this side. Yeah. So one of the most important things you have to do before you roll your stuff out is you need to sprinkle some flour onto the mat. So then you will take your ball and you're going to put flour on the bottom and then flip it over to make sure there's flour on the top. That way it doesn't stick to your rolling pin. I'm going to lower you as low as I can so you can see. And we are going to roll this out to about what thickness would you suggest, Mom?
Just a couple millimeters thick. As thick as what? As thick as a little thicker than a banana skin.
So a little bit thicker than a banana skin. I feel like that could also be like a nickel or a loonie would be a good option. Maybe a bit thicker as that. And then we are going to do a little gingerbread boy. And you're just going to punch them out, as many as you can, into a piece. And then I use a lifter because I'm prone to breaking their limbs off. So to avoid that, I will use a little lifter. So I have my lifter, and we're going to lift our little boy, and we are going to put him on our tray. And then I will just show you what our tray looks like. So this is our cookie tray. So we're going to put them in rows and then do another row, and then we'll pop these into the oven. So you're going to bake these at 375 degrees, and they do not take more than 10 minutes. But you're going to want to keep an eye on them because they will cook quickly, and you don't want to burn them because then they'll basically turn into gingerbread like a gingerbread house, and nobody enjoys eating that gingerbread. So that is what they look like then. And then I'm going to show you what they look like when they're all done. So I'm going to bring a tray over. And our nice little boys are all done. So these are pretty easy, and they will pop right off the tray. And you have your little gingerbread boy or girl. You could also do snowmen, dinosaurs. We sometimes do reindeer. We like those a lot, but their legs are very thin, so be careful of those. The nice thing about the gingerbread boy cutout is all the body parts are pretty equal in size. When we use our reindeer cutout, often their legs are a little bit more overcooked, so they're a little bit crunchier. But these are delicious right out of the oven, but they're also good a couple days later to be dipped in some nice tea, coffee, hot chocolate, whatever you would like. So with these, a nice thing is also you don't need to grease the pan, you don't need to put a silicone sheet down, you don't need to do any of that. You can just put them right onto your cookie tray and they will pop right off. So it's a very easy recipe. Decorate them however you want. And if you do end up making these, tag us on Instagram at WPL, and we would love to see what you come up with. So next week, I will be making potato latkes. We shall see. This is a new one for me. I just wanted to make sure we were adding a little bit for everybody. So come hang out with me next week. We also will be making mincemeat pies at some point and some shortbread cookies. So I hope to see you all there. And make sure you check out WPL.ca for all of the rest of our holiday programs. And feel free to see us in the library too. All right. Thank you guys so much and have a good night.